Yeah, it's on.
Hello everyone and welcome to our Game Week 29 preview. I'm Chris, Kieran is here too. Hello, how you doing?
Yeah, all good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright. I'm getting, like we were just saying, getting a bit bogged down in whether Haaland's worth it this week and chip strategy, so it'd be good to chat through all that tonight. It's been a tricky week. So let's just recap, see how we got on at Game Week 28 and then shed some thoughts on players for Game Week 29 as well as captaincy, which both I think is difficult this week. So let's jump right into it. Do you want to lead first on Game Week 28?
Yeah, I mean, rather forget about 28, but I had Salah plus Cliver and then everyone else blanks. They're just a bunch of useless bastards, basically. Just nobody doing anything at all. At least Cliver got an assist, I guess, and 35 points from those two players, and then ended up with 51, so like 20-ish from, I guess, from the rest. It's 15-ish, I guess. Just bad. I ended up rolling, so I didn't do any Mateta and Cunha's out sort of thing, so there was that, which I maybe was expecting a bad week, but I still had 11 players, 11 with decent fixtures, or decent enough, I thought. And Rodgers offside goal, which would have been nice. Palmer missing the penalty, so it could have been different, but didn't see Isak blanking. I thought Mikalenko would get something as well. Arsenal thought I'd get a clean sheet there against United, but just a bad week in general. Like a game week rank of nearly 7 million.
Really?
So from about 110k back to 145k. So a decent couple weeks I had before getting up again. It's just gone straight back down again. So it's just really, really boring at the moment, almost ready for the chip season.
I was saying to you the other day, even though you didn't move Mateta and Cunha on, it didn't really matter too much because the picks that, the striker picks that did perform well were probably not the ones we were expecting. Apart from maybe Pedro with that home game, I think it was quite hard to predict any of the others. And even then, you're looking at players who you'd want for 29 as well, and Pedro perhaps away against City is not ideal either. So it was just a sucky week for you on that front. And then so for me, I got 65. I would like you I've only got three returners, I should say. Salah, Cliver, and then the big one again, Cucurella, who's
unbelievable.
Honestly, just don't know how he's done it. I know.
What a dickhead, honestly.
Couldn't believe it. I mean, and the goal, it wasn't even like the other one in the other game, fair enough. It was late against Southampton, they were bombing in the box. To score from 20 odd yards out of a sideways pass into the corner, I just couldn't believe it when I saw it back.
It's probably got to be your best moment of the season, getting him in. 30 points in 2 weeks.
So good. Yeah, it was. I think he's the highest scoring player in the last 2 weeks, and he's obviously just shot me up. Because I was on, I was just experiencing a big red arrow because I benched Milenkovic again, and he's got back-to-back cleaners against City and Arsenal. And I was thinking, I'm not sure about any sort of green arrow this week because everyone just seemed to be back-to-back blanking, and he popped up with that, and it gave me a big green arrow. So, I kind of fancied it because of the two back-to-back home games against crappy teams, and I did. I kind of was hoping for 2 6-pointers. So to have way more is just sometimes you take a gamble and it comes off. So it was all right.
Must have been a green arrow in the end, I guess.
Yeah, it was. 101k now. So I know
you've overtaken me. This is the first time this season.
I know.
I think.
Yeah. We'll see. We still got loads to do and chip strategy. So we'll handle it. Let's jump on to Game Week 29.
I was going to say we're quite in a good place with both of us our rank with having the attacking or the assistant manager left, whereas most people don't. So, and the wild card, the bench boost, and the free hit. So, I think we're in an okay situation to at least get up there in the top 50, maybe. Would be ideal.
I think I was having a look at some of the rank splits, and I think from roughly 100k where I am now, it's less than 40 points to 50k, which to be honest is a decent AM chip basically. and or bench boost. I've got some crazy like strategies lined up, which I don't think I keep looking at what everyone would talk about this maybe when we do our teams at the end. But what I'm thinking about just doesn't seem to align with anyone, which scares me a little bit. But let's jump on to 29 first. Let's bring up some of the sub players here. So do you want to lead with some picks who we think are going to replace the players we've got out or the teams we've got out, basically?
Yeah. So I'll start with another man in form other than Cucurella. So people are talking about taking Palmer out. So and this guy, obviously, that we did mention him a little bit last week. He looks like a good replacement. Is Bruno Fernandes. 8.4 million, and then now at this moment 12% owned. Probably gone up by now. But 10 and 9 his last 3 weeks. So obviously on form. And he's pretty much the only player doing anything at United right now. So that's obviously, well, we expect to be quite a good thing for FPL. Kind of like with Cunha at Wolves, pretty much the only guy that gets points. Bruno, pretty much the only guy that's getting points at United. And obviously, this fixture this week against Leicester, really good. Obviously, they've conceded 14 goals in the last 6 weeks, which is like 18th of all teams. They got an XGC of 9.3, which is 30th, which is funnily enough, is actually better than United's the last 6 weeks.
Okay.
Of 10.4, which is 16th worst. So Bruno, 6th highest score in mid, 135 points, 7 goals, 9 assists. He got 22 bonus. So when he gets a return, he's pretty much a shoe-in for bonus. So stats wise, game week 23 to 28, sort of goal threat wise, is not looking great. Honestly, he's not in the top 10 mids on shots, big chances, XG or XGI. So that's that's not great. But then he does start to sort of make appearance in the models at the top 10s with the assist potential of key passes 14, which is 5th, big chances created, joint 2nd, and then I actually haven't written down what he was on. I think it must have been 3 or 4. I think it was, and then XA of 1.32, which is 9th. So is he worth 8.4 million? Maybe he is. The mids with higher big chances and XG are the likes of Salah, Sarr, Matoma, Palmer, and Buemo, etc. And they're either blanking or already highly owned or in a bad matchup.
Yeah.
So, this could be the week to take a chance on Bruno, I think. So, I'm probably looking to get him in. He seems like the one that just, why not really, with a great fixture. So, I think he's had returns versus Leicester this season already as well. So, I like him. What do you think of him? Are you going to go there?
Well, I flagged him up last week for this one because I was looking at a combination where I was like, if I got Beto last week, I had exact money to do Haaland and Bruno. And then for some reason, Beto went up on the last Thursday night, which meant I couldn't do it without taking another hit. And since then, because of Bruno's 9-pointer, he's gone up 0.2 million this week, and he's the highest transfer in. So,
has he?
Yeah, he's now
I've not done any Matt transfers. I probably should have done this early, but
he's gone. He's 200k transfers in this week, and it's obviously a great fixture for him. We talked about it last week, but his numbers are still not great. So I've convinced myself that probably it's not an awful thing that I don't have him. So I've got the stats up that you've got for 23 to 28. He's only had 2 shots in the box in that time, and an XG of 0.7. Obviously, his big chances created we know are going to be high. There's 3, and expected assists 1.2. But he's overachieved his expected points by 13. He's had 22 and 35. So United are so Jekyll and Hyde, and just I think he could be good, but it's difficult.
I think it was last season. There's been multiple times where he's been highly transferred in what looks like really good fixtures.
Yeah.
And I think I've been on the other end of just not doing it, and he's massively returned. It's just that seems to have happened the last 2 seasons in a row, I think. And this feels like one of those occasions where he's going to be big transferred in for an obvious fixture, and he's just going to get a goal assist or something, and a penalty plus an assist or something, and it just seems almost nailed on. But at the same time, you can't really trust United for anything.
No.
So it's a super risky one. But if you're selling Palmer, obviously he has Arsenal, which isn't great, and his form is bad. So, but how badly could you get burned by doing that? I'm not sure. Is it probably more likely that Bruno gets a return than Palmer? I don't know.
And I'd like to know like what people's general people's plans are for Palmer after that, because from like game week 30 onwards, Chelsea's fixtures are pretty good, and they got Tottenham at home in game week 30. Whereas Bruno after game week 29, he's got Forest away, who've just kept back-to-back clean sheets against City and Arsenal, and I'd expect them to do the same against Man United, and then they've got Man City. So it's not the short-term fixtures after Leicester, and then after that it's Newcastle away as well. So yeah, the fixtures after Leicester aren't great. So it'd be interesting if people who are planning to get him a wild card in quickly or a longer-term hold. But yeah, he's difficult.
And regarding Palmer, I think he's actually the top of like all mids for shots the last 6 weeks as well. So he's not like he's not trying or something. He's not just completely cold. Yeah, excuse that. But,
I love that.
Yeah. So he Arsenal have not been solid particularly lately. So I think there's a chance he does something. Maybe he just gets a lucky goal and then his form starts to turn. Yeah, that could be the case for sure, because Palmer is I think he's already dropped once and maybe twice. So yeah, people are going to be mass selling for sure.
He's got like 208,000 transfers out this week, so yeah, and I think he's due another price drop tonight, to be honest. So, yeah, not good.
Shall I carry on? Or do you want
why not? Who else do you like as a this week?
Right, so I'm going randomly in defense and whatever order, but yeah, Vardiol. 5.9 million, 20.5% owned. I think the high ownership is pretty much down to dead teams. I don't think anyone playing actively pretty much owns him right now. But he hasn't had an attacking return since game week 23, which is 6 weeks ago. But he has kept two clean sheets in that time, and he's kind of slowly ticking along with an 8, a 0, a 6, a 1, a 7, and a 2. So if you go by that, he's due a clean sheet at least. So so basically he's blanked and then he's returned, then he's blanked and he's returned. So yeah, the last one was a 2, and so he's due a return. So yeah, no defender is a higher XG than him over the last 6 weeks, 1.27. Second place is that Lacroix, or how you say it, from Palace, 0.98. 4 big chances for him, is also the first and only beaten on XGI by Munoz, who's obviously been really good lately. And he's only just slightly behind Munoz on XGI. So, and nobody's been talking about Vardiol. So yeah, I'm not saying he's going to be like a shoe in this week for a clean sheet or everything, obviously. But I think you could definitely do worse. Like, it is a good fixture at home. But then the problem is that Brighton's form is obviously really good right now. They've had 6 wins in a row in all competitions. And am I expecting a clean sheet? Yeah, probably not. But like Vardiol, attacking wise, we know he's really good, and his numbers are showing that. So Brighton's XG as a team of 11.2, which is third best of all teams at the moment, and they've had 24 big chances, which is second of all teams at the moment. So the clean sheet probably not on, probably banking for attacking return for Vardiol, but that could be likely, to be honest. So I don't think City have any Europe to play now. They've got no commitments other than the Premier League. So almost nailed on for 90 minutes every week. I think their fixtures are okay-ish after this as well.
Yeah, they're pretty good, actually. The ticker on the FPL side makes them look pretty decent.
Yeah, so I don't mind him. Obviously, you could take him out straight away from wildcard if you're looking around that in the 30, 31, 32 area. I think he's quite a good option this week, at least. Yeah,
no, I like him, and I've been looking at him mainly because Trent possibly picked up that injury last night. We obviously don't know much about it. Maybe we'll find out end of this week. But he's obviously now 5.9, so he's dropped from his original starting price. If you went there from Trent from now until the end of the season, he's going to have an extra game, and he's like nearly 1 point something, maybe 1.2 million cheaper. Not saying it's a definite something I will do, but it's something I've been looking at because he'll have one extra fixture, and will Liverpool rotate a little bit if Trent, this is
what actually happened to Trent? I didn't see this.
Apparently, he hurt his ankle. He got subbed off in like the 70th or 80th minute last night. So there isn't. I think Slot's pretty much after the game last night ruled him out of the Carabao Cup final this weekend, but he didn't really say like a longer point. So it's end of the month. But my wider point on Trent would be, if he's not signed this contract and he's possibly leaving this summer, will Bradley get more starts? Will Trent have more rest? Man City have actually got something to play for. Liverpool might have had the title wrapped up. I don't mind Gvardiol until the end of the season from around now. Like, if I just read out his fixtures, we've got Brighton. These are the home games: Brighton, Leicester, Palace, Aston Villa, Wolves, and Bournemouth. All pretty decent, and their away games are Man United, Everton, Southampton, and Fulham. So there's a good block of games there. And what I was surprised at when I was looking at Gvardiol was actually how reliable he's been for minutes. You think of like Cancelo was the only one who's done that in the last few seasons, but he's missed one game all season, or one game where he's not played 90 when Liverpool away didn't play at all, and then one other game like game week 4 he played 45 minutes, but otherwise he's basically plays 90 minutes.
Yep.
So he's pretty reliable, and it's definitely someone I would look at for this week and beyond.
Yeah, he seems ideal for you. I think most people probably don't have like a Forest defender, so you should probably look at a Forest defender if you go from Trent and just save loads of money. Like Trent's not been like for a 7.5-ish million sort of defender. His returns have not been great. So Gvardiol / Forest defender seems good. And then on the other side of that fixture, João Pedro, 5.5 million now is obviously still cheap, 14% owned, so a decent differential at the moment. But he's obviously a massive giant, like FPL troll.
I was gonna say, can we agree he's a dick?
He is, 100%. But he does have the form at the moment, and obviously that is what everyone buys him for, and then he just goes missing for the next like whatever so he's a confidence player. He's obviously got confidence right now, but we'll see if that lasts. Like 12, 8, 9 in his last 3, and then he had 5 blanks in a row before that, and I think he was kind of like out of the team for a while as well. So I think Welbeck is back and sort of fit to play. So but Pedro should start at the same time with both, but we have seen him dropped. So 12 shots, 6 big chances, XG of 3.06, 5 key passes, 4 big chances created, and a 0.55 XA. So he's doing well on both sides. Like he's getting good XG for the goal threat, lots of big chances, and then he's also creating 4 big chances and got nearly a 1 XA or half of 1 XA. So he's looking good on both sides, which that looks at 5.5 million as supreme value. So he could obviously just become that guy again who just blanks in a row, and that looks like likely to happen. But after this City game, obviously the fixture is the difficult one, but at the same time City aren't great defensively this season or right now. So from game week 31 as well onwards, they've got Crystal Palace, Leicester, Brentford, West Ham, Newcastle, and Wolves in a row. So that's really good fixtures as well. Like you could probably have him in your team in like a bench boost team. I think, are they due to double? I'm not even sure, but if they are,
can double, I think.
Then him in a bench boost team is like a 5.5 cheap forward who's on penalties and probably going to have good fixtures around there. Like it could be like a West Ham at home plus someone else, or a Brentford away. Like those are good fixtures. So you could do much worse if you look into just get Haaland in. Pedro could be a make-weight to do that. So I like him.
Yeah, I think it's just he's such a dick, but he is. I think Brighton seem to get like a lot of penalties, and obviously that boosts his appeal as well. Like last week, getting that penalty in like the 98th minute, and then obviously he goes from a 2-pointer to a 9-pointer.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think he's not a bad shout for this week, and he returned in that City game earlier in the season. Like you say, Brighton's long-term fixtures are not bad. So he's definitely someone worth considering this week.
What's their away form like? If you can.
Let me have a look. Let me bring it up here. I mean, they've been good recently, apart from that out of the blue 7-0 loss. Away they won 4-0 at Southampton, and they obviously lost that 7-0 against Forest. They won 3-1 against United, won against Ipswich, drew with Villa, drew with West Ham. So, it's not bad, but...
Yeah, I think they're highly confident at the moment. So I think that it looks like a game that both teams probably score, which probably hurts Gvardiol's sort of allure. But I kind of want something in this fixture. Not sure if Haaland's worth it yet, but I don't know. Should I talk about Haaland? I've got some stats on him. Then you can talk about captaincy.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So 14.7 million now, 28% owned. So that is obviously going to go up. Most people are going to try and get him this week. Is the most obvious buy, I would say, and probably the most likely captain. yeah, so last 6 weeks, 12, 6, 5, 0, 8, and 2. Shots 11, which is 9th. 5 big chances, 5th. XG of 2.3, which is 8th. 7 key passes, 2nd. 3 big chances created, 2nd. And XA of 0.48, which is 10th. So, yeah, we're used to seeing Haaland get all sort of be like the top of all goal threats metrics. And he and City are just like pretty much a long way off the top game right now. So 11 shots is like stupidly low for him. The big chances is behind the likes of Beto, Mateta, who's obviously missed a game, Watkins, Pedro himself, and then Mateta, as I said. So, yeah, that's not good. 11 shots, as I said, is really low in 6 weeks for him. He's usually like way up there of just like someone who's taking shots constantly. And I guess he can't be taking shots when he's not getting the ball much. So, yeah, in a week with no Salah and Palmer playing against Arsenal, etc., he is going to be the go-to captain. But yeah, like I said, this fixture does maybe make me a little bit wary just because I think Brighton look in good form and it just maybe doesn't scream Hall. But at the same time, it could do because Brighton are probably going to attack them and Haaland will have space. So yeah, let's see.
Well, I think just I can mention captaincy on him now just while we're talking about him. So I'm like you. I'm kind of leaning towards getting him. Maybe it's a little bit of FOMO, but maybe it's also because I don't trust any of the other players for captaincy, which is probably where I'm going wrong a little bit. But like, despite City's general mixed form, I suppose he's actually been quietly decent recently. Like you mentioned, he has got 4 or 5 returns in his last 6 games. Obviously, save for the game he missed against Liverpool, and his
no hauls.
No hauls. So in his last 4 home games, he has got 12, 13, 2 and 5. However, he's missed 2 home games like recently. So that last 5 was actually back in game week 14. So it's not like it's recency good form that we can judge for him at home. And I think that's why it makes it so difficult. So obviously the last 4 starts he's returned 2, 8, 5 and 6. So they're not amazing numbers either for captaincy. But like he's kind of there. And I think the fixture itself is not, like you mentioned, it's not a great one for City. Brighton, they've already lost to Brighton this year. And, you know, if you remove that weird outlier for them where they played Forest and conceded 7 goals, they've actually only conceded 3 goals in 5 games. Obviously that 7 makes it much worse, but they're on 4 wins in a row. I think it's unlikely that Haaland gets a double-digit return this game week. And then I don't know on the back of that if it's worth a transfer in and out or a hit in. I just think it's not clear cut for him this week. And in the reverse fixture, he's returned, but he got 5 points. So, and City themselves, I said they're like mixed results, but their XG from open play is not great. I've got it up on screen now. Yep. So since game week 23, they've just got an XG of 9. I mean, that's worse than Brentford, Bournemouth, Everton, like you mentioned, Chelsea, Brighton, Palace, and Liverpool. So there's not like a lot of team and player evidence that he does well, but I just feel like the movement there to him this week is why it's a bit scary to not get him.
I think the Trent possibly actually being out, obviously he was blanking, but actually being out, I think that's going to free up some funds as well. Just make it slightly easier to just get Haaland too. So maybe I was looking to probably just not get Haaland and still avoid him because I haven't had him all season. I've not been that keen. His form and his fixtures is not that great. So I was thinking of just still going out without him. But yeah, the Trent possible injury and with the blank does make it easier to possibly get those funds to go to Haaland.
Yeah.
While possibly managing to keep Palmer as well. So
you can maybe keep. Well, I don't know if you could do it from Cunha, but
yeah, I think it might be possible if I go Trent and then because I've got Rodgers to sell as well possibly. So yeah,
it could be doable. Yeah, so I don't know. He's a bit of an unknown for me at the minute.
So if you go there, you captain him, right?
Oh, I think so. I think it's I think just to pay back any sort of move because you're putting the faith in him. And like I'll talk more about captaincy perhaps after you've talked about your last player. But I just think it's hard to back any of the others because they're not historically good captain picks or popular captain picks. But I don't know. Maybe that's just like a barrier. Like Kluivert's been as good recently, if not slightly better. So was Beto, and so is JP. But I just don't know if you're going to captain any of those players.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, at the same time, like Marmoush looked like he was an option, but he's benched last week.
Yeah.
So that's just been like, oh, that's out the window a little bit. It's just he thought he was some way to cover that Haaland a little bit, and he thought he'd be involved. But him being benched, which I don't think he'd be benched since he got there. So yeah, Marmoush probably plays the next game, and it's nothing to worry about. But at the same time, it feels like you probably can't go there now because you don't know if he's going to start. So yeah, the thing is, like, for my team, like, I was looking at Haaland, but then if I wasn't going to go there, who would I captain? And Clive probably was the one. Like, if you want to talk about him.
Yeah, well, perhaps I'll just jump back into my just general captaincy chat, and then I'll just perhaps add some more weight to it. So, to try and determine who was going to be best, I started out just having a look at the last 6 game weeks. So that was 23 to 28. Just feel if there's enough recency there to get a good picture of both home and away fixtures. So the points per 90 totals of players in that period who are playing this game week makes for the following reading. Taverner comes out on top, Bournemouth mid, who's just been returning really well, but he's not secure for minutes. But I'll just go through the numbers. So he's averaging 7.5 points per game. JP's down at 7.1. Beto's got 7. Then it's Dango, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Haaland on 6.6, Son on 6.6, Clive on 6.5, Wood 6.3, and Bowen 6.1. So between them, you can throw like an average of 1.5 difference over the top 8 or 10 players in that time. So there's nothing massive from a like FOMO point of view for me. Like there's just not enough of a gap. And if Salah was included in that, he'd be like off the scales. You'd think, right, that's an obvious decision. But Haaland's like bunched bang in the middle, basically, of Tavernier and Bowen. It just doesn't seem right. So I was just trying to think, right, let's see if I can rule out some of those options. So I think you'd rule out Tavernier because of minutes. You'd probably rule out JP just because captaining against Man City in an away game just feels like an unnecessary risk. Django's lost his place, so his minutes are down. Callum Hudson-Odoi, I think, even though his numbers have been good, Wood's probably preferable because of penalties. Yep. And Son isn't a good pick because he's not played 90 minutes in the last 4, and they've got Europa League on Thursday, and Fulham away is a tricky game. So that
he's been benched a couple of times as well, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So that just leaves, in my mind, 4 picks off players who are in form, who you can think, even if they blank, you think, well, they had form and they had a decent fixture. So Beto is, comes out well. So since regular starts, his returns at Goodison are 13, 8 and 6, so no blanks. He has penalties. He plays West Ham, who've since game week 8, they've got like a fairly decent defence. They're the 8th best defence in the league and only conceded 2 away goals in 3 games against Villa, Chelsea and Arsenal. So I don't think, because of how good West Ham's defence looks on paper, Beto seems like a good picture. I've spoken about Haaland. He's obviously returned at home, but they haven't been big returns, but he has been getting some, and in reverse fixture he scored 5. Clivert is the other one of those picks who is worth considering. He's performing at like really high level, good goal against Brighton the other week, an assist against Tottenham, and one ruled out after that really good up move. He's performing really well, and what we weren't experiencing with Clivert earlier in the season, if I just bring up his picture on screen here. What we weren't getting with Clivert earlier in the season, or especially when he started coming to our thinking, like around game week 15, 16, like look at these numbers. He was like getting subbed in the 60s and the 70s, whereas basically since game week 22, roughly around this time, these numbers, generally speaking, he's had 4 90s in that time, and 87, then two 70s, and then most recently in games where they've been chasing the win against Brighton and Tottenham, he's played full 90s. So that makes me think, also because they've lost a few recently, that he's pretty good for 80 minutes plus in this game. So so I'd say,
who are they playing again?
They've got Brentford. So
Brentford. Okay.
Which earlier in the season you would have said that's a good fixture. Brentford are not good defensively, and Clivert's returns have been good recently with 5, 10, 2 and 5 in the last 4. But of all teams playing this weekend, Brentford are the 3rd best defensive record since game week 23, even better than West Ham. So despite the fact this game was a goal fest, I think it finished 3-2 to Brentford earlier in the season. Pretty sure it was 3-2 to Brentford. Yeah, it was. I feel like he's a tricky pick as well, even though he's got pens. I just don't know if he's a captainable pick. Bowen, like I mentioned before, he was a bit uninspiring against Newcastle. He's averaged 5 points per game away from home. West Ham don't look great, and Everton's fifth best defence since game week 23. Finally, the only other player from my notes who basically have been good recently is Wood. But back-to-back blanks against City and Arsenal, perhaps not a surprise because they were going to be tight games against teams who are fighting for UCL. He scored 9 points in the reverse fixture against Ipswich, and away from home this season he's averaging 6.7, so higher than Bowen and roughly on par with what Haaland's been averaging at home this season. Ipswich at 10.9 expected goals conceded since game week 23 is actually the fourth worst in the league in that time. And for me, it wouldn't be surprised for Wood to get a 9-pointer in this game. So I think if
their fixtures are quite good as well. Wood.
I agree. Yeah. Forest fixtures until like the end of the season now are quite
probably
good.
The standout captaincy, not captaincy, a standout fixture, like just in terms of like the best team against the worst team.
I agree. From a pure table point of view, like I think there's definitely a lot of attention in just like other content creators for Bournemouth mids this week, but like Bournemouth have stuttered a bit recently, and Brentford are just playing well. And their defence is good. Whereas I'd say Wood captaincy has definitely been talked about less, whereas he's been consistent over a longer period, and Ipswich are worse. So, yeah, I think the Wood, and he's outscored Haaland this season for a reason. He has been good.
It's just me, like I feel like his hoodoo is broken. Like his 2-game blank. Like maybe is it? No, I haven't owned him all season. Is it too late? I don't know. It just feels like he's going to start blanking for some reason.
Their fixtures are good now until the end of the season, and I think the win against City and the draw against Arsenal should give them momentum. They've stuttered, definitely. They had that difficult away game against Newcastle. They lost 4-3, which shows they can score goals away from home. They lost against Fulham 2-1, which again, Fulham are good at home, and they lost against Bournemouth away 5-0. So they had 3 pretty battering results, but then to bounce back on the back of that and not lose against Arsenal, Man City, and in between that beat Brighton 7-0.
Yeah,
there's definitely something there.
And they're not going to be able to take the foot off gas because they're third place. Yeah. They want Champions League, I guess. Like that'll be an incredible result for them to get there. And the fixtures are there for them to keep going. They're not going to be able to rotate, I don't think. So all these the main players, Gibbs White and the Chos and Alangas and your Milenkovic and Einers and whoever else are going to keep playing.
Yeah.
So it's just I don't know if they're ever going to be massive haulers. Like Wood doesn't feel like he's going to be massively hauling every week, but at the same time, a 9-pointer from Wood this week with some bonus or 9-point is bonus, isn't it? And a captaincy return that seems quite good for him this week, doesn't it? So
I'm just having a look at his form in the other away games against in the promoted side. So Southampton away at the start of the season, he only actually got a 1-pointer, but then Leicester away he got a 13-pointer, and he got 9 points away against Man United. He got a 12-pointer away against Everton and an 8-pointer away against Wolves recently. So he has returned multiple times in away games this season, but he hasn't done it very often. So I think he is my vice, or Haaland is my vice if I go for him. I don't know, on paper it just seems like, you know what I mean? On paper it seems picking Wood is not chasing like a big haul.
What's his effective ownership at your rank? Because he is very highly owned, isn't he? So he's 47% owned. So I mean, if people are going to be captaining him this week, he's probably going to start to get up to the 80% EO-ish, I'd say. So, I mean, if I don't get him and he does anything, he's going to really hurt me.
So that's pretty much all the notes I had on captaincy. Is there anyone there who you think I've not covered who seems like a captaincy shout? I just think otherwise it seems... I haven't mentioned anyone in the Arsenal game because I don't trust their attackers for minutes.
Yeah.
I haven't mentioned anyone in the Fulham game because I don't trust Jimenez. And I think he's probably the only option.
Yeah, I guess there's the guy who I mentioned. I guess Bruno is possibly a consideration. I think it would be better if he was at home. I
Mm.
think I'd be like, yeah, Leicester at home. Yeah, that sounds great. Let's just do it for 1 week. Yeah, it's probably just Haaland. The home fixture, the history makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, tricky. All right, have you got any more players just to chit chat about before we show our?
Yeah,
our
just on the Forest lads, Hudson-Odoi and Gibbs White. Hudson-Odoi at 5.2 million, Gibbs White at 6.5, so slightly more expensive. But if you're looking to replace Rodgers or Salah, who are obviously both blanking this week, these two options seem like it could be good. But their head-to-head totals, so points-wise of 83 for Hudson-Odoi versus 113. Goals 4 versus 5, assists 3 versus 9, and XG of 2 versus 3.9, and XA of 1.9 versus 3.9. So Gibbs White obviously well ahead. His price sort of says that as well. Predicted 3.7 and 4.1 for this week, which seems kind of low, but I think they're kind of underestimating the fixture. And then obviously, Chris Wood, possible captain consideration as well, because obviously the fixture is good. Callum Hudson-Odoi last 6, 0-0 and 1. I think he was coming back from injury, and then he got an 8, a 3 and a 10. And then Gibbs White 5-3, 5-5, 16 and 2. So he's a kind of tick along guy. He seems like if there's going to be a goal, he's probably going to be involved in an assist at least. So his floor is quite decent. It seems like Cho's probably a little bit more explosive, but then Gibbs White did get a 16 pointer, which was pretty big for him. So Ipswich's defense is still one of the worst in the league at 10.9 XGC of the last 6, with 15 goals conceded in the last 6 as well. So, I think there's possibility if you're looking, like I said, for Rodgers or Salah replacements. Yeah, those two seem like good options if you're wanting to bet against Wood, or if you want to back up that fixture against Ipswich with 2 Forest attackers. Seems like maybe overkill, but Gibbs White, I think he is a good option for sure. And then Hudson-Odoi, super cheap and someone you could possibly include going forward on bench boost maybe as well. So, I like them both. They're both starting to tick along. Like it.
Yeah, no, I just looking at Ipswich's like team record, just to give myself some more like confidence in this Chris Wood idea. They can, since game week 22, they've lost 2-0 at home against Brighton, 2-0 at home, 6-0 at home against Man City, lost 2-1 at home against Southampton, 4-1 at home against Tottenham. They've just, they've lost 7 of their last 9 games. Just think.
Yeah, I think I heard that they've picked up way more points away from home than they have at home. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's really tough this week. Really tough. Just the FOMO on Haaland. I think I've come around to the point where I can feel like all week I've been thinking, I'll do it, I'll transfer him, and now I'm just thinking, is it worth it? I don't know. All right, let's have a look at our teams. I think that's all our chat, isn't it?
Yep, I think so.
Right, let's have a look. Go on, you can start us off.
Okay, so I've not done any moves yet. Obviously, most of my blankers are on the bench, but I've still got Mateta, Cunha, Rodgers to sort out. But I do have 3 free transfers at least. Salah's obviously not going anywhere. I'm probably going to consider getting rid of Trent now. Isak was possibly someone I could get rid of and just bring him back in on a wild card, because I think they're game week 30. Well, they do have good fixtures, so I'll probably keep him, to be honest. So, at the moment, I'm just I wish I didn't have Verbruggen as well. So the team is not looking great, but I think I honestly don't know. I was looking at what was it? It was Rodgers, Cunha, and Isak. I think it was what was it? Isak? I can't remember what I said in our chat now. But I was looking at Evanilson, Wood, and Bruno, and that would have been no hits, and that would have given me 11 players.
Nice.
Which seems okay. But at the same time, none of that involved Trent being injured, which I didn't actually know he was injured. So that might free up funds for me to just get Haaland, maybe not bother with Bruno, and maybe look at someone like Gibbs White or something instead. I've got loads of options at the moment. There's so many players I could get rid of. There's Rodgers, Cunha, Mateta, Isak, Trent, Palmer for money. Like, there's so many options I can do. I could even take a hit for 4 if I want, but at the same time, taking hits this week doesn't seem great because none of the fixtures are massively, overwhelmingly in favor of one team. I don't think so. I think if I only get to 10 players this week, I don't think I'd even mind that much. So I think it's just kind of a survive situation for this week, and then look to wildcard. Maybe not next week, but the week after, and just hope the rest of the season's good.
Well,
and captaincy wise, it's I'm on either Cliver or Wood/Arnold, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's the same. I kind of like the idea now that even though I've been looking at Palmer out, even though his form's rotten, I just kind of like the idea that Palmer's sort of turning into a differential this week between active players.
Yeah, I kind of like it too.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
How good has Arsenal actually been defensively? They haven't won in the last 3. They lost at home against West Ham, didn't score against Forest, and drew 1-1 with Man United.
And yeah, he's been basically 11 million for ages, and him going down to 10.9 doesn't really make a difference because you can just sell him for most players anyway. Yeah. So losing a bit of value on him doesn't matter.
And it's not like Palmer's stats have been like awful.
No, they've been good. He just
hasn't converted.
Yeah, if he scored that penalty last week, probably no one must be selling him.
He's had an XG of like 2.3 in his last 2 games. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm interested in that. All right, so I'll give you a bit lowdown on... Oh no, my graphic's not here. Hang on. Uno momento.
On my team, there's just so many options, basically. You've got to sort it.
Sorted it. Okay. So I was coming into this week coming into the show, definitely thinking I was going to sell Palmer for someone like Semenyo and then upgrade Isak to Haaland. The more we've spoken about it, I kind of feel like I might just continue on the no Haaland route and I've only got one transfer and just upgrade Dibbling to maybe Semenyo again. And then Captain Wood or Cliver, probably Wood. It'd be quite ballsy, I think, because I think a lot of people are going towards Haaland, but I'm not convinced he's going to...
I'm tempted to take Trent out, Brian.
Well, the thing is, I've only got one free transfer. So I think, because I've already got defenders, it just feels like a bit of a luxury move. Like Dibbling would be like the weak spot in the 11. And if Palmer scores or returns again against Arsenal, that almost like negates any hit to get rid of him. And then longer term, what I was looking at, because I think this is quite interesting for assistant manager chat for people that haven't played it yet and maybe in a position like me and you who've got wildcard, assistant manager and bench boost. I was actually thinking of wildcarding regardless in 30 to triple up on Palace and get more Newcastle and sort out my bench, and maybe even at that stage downgrade Trent to Guardiola to upgrade my bench options, because by then we'll know which teams have gone further in FA Cup. So even if, for me and you, I was thinking even if we don't know when doubles are going to land, i.e. in 33, or even if they'll stay in 34 or go in 36, just having those players on the bench would be good. And I still think AM seems like the most powerful chip. So I would think I would wildcard in 30 to get Palace and Newcastle players, play the AM chip for 31, 30. So 31 would just be a single game week. 32 would be Howe or Glasner, and 33 would be one of the teams who are going to double in 33, even though there's not going to be many of them. Keep like Arsenal and Liverpool assets because they're still good in that time. Keep Palmer because he's still really good in that time, and then just swap out all my Everton players, Pickford, Malenko and Beto, for Palace players who've got an insane run. Starting game week 30, they've got Southampton away, Brighton at home, and then they've got the double, and they've got decent fixtures. So yeah, I'm just kind of looking at it a bit like that at the moment. I just think I've got quite a lot of Everton in my team. Cucurella I don't need for the rest of the season after this game week, and I think my game week 30 team will be a lot stronger and set up a bit better, and I can play the assistant manager chip for some good doubles, and then just bench boost and free hit in either some single game weeks or just
free hit. Probably you're going to do is it 34 that's got the blank?
Well, I'd still have it's still the blank, but yeah, I could do it, and I could free hit 34 and then save up transfers and maybe bench boost in like 36 or 37 if a double drops in then, or just have a fun game week 38.
Yeah, see, I was looking possibly the other way around of just like wanting to bench boost in the biggest double, which is possibly 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then do the AM just over the last few weeks of the season and just chase the bonus, like table bonus every week, because we're pretty much going to know what the teams are fighting for by then.
Yeah.
And I can just target, fixtures like that. And it's just like, it should be good for safe fixtures as well, for players that the teams that are on the beach got enough to play for, and teams that really do have something to play for. So I kind of like that too. But yeah, I quite like what you're saying there too. When are the actual FA Cup fixtures that we're just going to know? Did you say before 30? Is that right?
Yeah, there's some time before.
There's a gap between 29 and 30, isn't there? After 29, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's why I thought there was no game week this week. But yeah, so game week 30 is April 1st, which is a Tuesday. So it's 3 weeks today, and the FA Cup is the weekend of the 29th and 30th. So the FA Cup will be finished on the Sunday night. So it's unlikely they've announced when the doubles are happening, but it's quite likely that, well, obviously we'll know who's going to be.
Yeah.
So that's what I was deciding. And I also quite like the idea of wildcarding then, just to get on Triple Palace early, because people already got Triple Palace, and having Triple Palace in place like Salah, Mateta and Munoz for Southampton away into Brighton and then into a double seems really good.
Are you worried by how long you're wildcarding between that and your bench boost?
Not really. No, not really. Well, I'm kind of pitching it on the thing that the bench boost is probably going to get me, between 10 and 20 points, even in a double? Oh, no, it's like 16 minimum for all appearance points. So maybe the bench boost, a good bench boost, maybe you get 25, because they never have too many expensive players on your bench boost.
Yeah, so how are you going to set up your bench? Because obviously it's such a long way away, like maybe 6+ or maybe 7 weeks away. Are you going to have a decently spread funds?
No, I wouldn't. Don't think I'd. I think I'd still keep Salah and still keep. I think the team would be very similar to what I've got now. Maybe like 6 or so changes. I'd change both goalkeepers for ones that have got doubles. I'd change my defenders that aren't Gabriel or Trent. So Mylenko, Cucurella, and Milenkovic would probably be swapped for players like Munoz, Kirkes if Bournemouth get through, and maybe Robinson if Fulham get through. And then keep dibbling. Obviously, from a pricing point of view, Kluivert could be part of one of those that double. And Buemo's got bad fixtures.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, Buemo's got bad fixtures from game week 30. He's got Newcastle away, Chelsea at home, Arsenal away, Brighton at home, Forest away. So he could be someone like Sarr. And then a forward line of Wood, who's obviously got good fixtures, Mateta and Isak. Just seems... Yeah, the downside is I don't know when the doubles are going to fall, but the upside is I can play the assistant manager chip for 5 games and then maybe do a bench boost and in a later game week for a single game week.
You're tempting me now, because I'm almost going to be on the grounds of copying you, but that does sound quite good.
Well, I haven't seen it talked about because I don't think many people have got the same sort of chip structure, but maybe people watching have.
Yeah.
And I listened to Planet FPL's podcast on chip strategy, and they didn't even cover it was nearly 2 hours, bless them, and they did so much chat, and it was really interesting to listen to how things might fall, but they didn't even talk about people who had the type of chips I've got left, and I was just oh well, I don't, this doesn't help.
Great. Yeah.
So yeah, fine. I just think I might do that, because it almost feels like I'm transferring players in now that I don't really want long term. Cucurella no, Mylenko no, Pickford no. Beto,
the only reason almost people are doing it is because we don't know when they'll be, but that almost doesn't matter, because you'll just be you'll know who's got through, and you'll just know that they will double at some point.
Yeah, exactly.
So it kind of doesn't matter. So
that's essentially what I'm saying, and I'm not going to change my 11 so much that I'm not going to have good players in it. So I don't want to play like Matoma or Lewis Dunk every week, because Brighton have got one double in 3 or 4, 6 game weeks time. If it falls in 36 or 33, that's kind of how I'm looking at it. I think I'm doing well at the moment with the team I've got, so let's just keep the core of it and then just have a good structure in place. That's why keeping someone who's cheap like Dibbling makes sense, because Southampton might even get a double. So yeah, I think it's something I'm looking at quite strongly.
Is there any other cheapies around like around 5-ish that you can?
Souček maybe is 4.8, and West Ham might have a double, but there's a bit Enzo, but Palmer, that Chelsea won't have a double. So that fifth mid spot is the kind of one that if you get to the week and you want to up and do a bench boost, that's when you're gonna have to do multiple transfers. Yeah, I quite like it this season because
it's interesting.
Yeah, a lot of the good teams aren't through in the cup.
Yeah, a lot of people are not going to be doing that, and if I do as well, that we will be on a different. Yeah, I like.
It might be wrong. It might be totally wrong. The bench boost might be the way to go for 33 because it might be huge, but then
it probably but making the most of the AM probably does make sense because it is the best chip.
Well,
as long as you do well with it, obviously.
Yeah,
because like the people who went Glasner versus the people who went Arteta, ouch.
And I think that's for anyone who plays AM in across 32, it's even difficult as well because you can either play Glasner away against Newcastle and City for the bonus, which to be honest I don't love because I can't see them getting wins there, or you could just back Howe at home against Man United and Palace and back goals and maybe a clean sheet against Man United. So yeah, it's
not great.
It's not clear cut. Clear cut.
I think I'd probably just back Glasner. Who was it against City and
Newcastle both away?
Yeah, they're picking up form at the right time. They did it last season as well, and they've already had 2 big bonus games where they've been really good. Well. So yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I know, a lot to think about. But no, after our discussion, just back to the team for this week, I'm actually now considering not getting Haaland, captaining Wood or Kluivert, and then just transferring Dibbling to someone, and then still wildcarding next week and making about 6 or 8 moves.
Yeah, like it.
Just clearing the edges of the squad, not like the key ones.
Yeah, you've possibly convinced me, but we'll see.
Cool. All right.
Yep. Hopefully that helps people who maybe still do have the AM and see if they think it's a good idea or not.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Should we call it there for today?
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll be back in a couple of weeks to preview Game Week 30, and maybe that wildcard will be in play. Right. Talk to you later.